What if growing older is not the slow quieting of your life, but the beginning of a deeper, more joyful relationship with yourself? What if the happiness you've been seeking in other people, in achievements, in roles, or in responsibility has been waiting quietly inside you all along? Most of us were never taught how to enjoy our own company. We were taught to nurture others, to work hard, to stay busy, to always be available. But very few of us learned how to sit with ourselves in peace, how to savor solitude instead of fearing it, how to find fulfillment without relying on someone else's presence, validation, or attention. After 60, a new chapter begins, one where your relationship with yourself becomes your most important companionship. Buddhism teaches that true happiness comes not from outer conditions, but from inner clarity, presence, and compassion. This stage of life offers a profound opportunity, the chance to rediscover yourself, perhaps for the first time, without the noise of roles, expectations, or obligations. This video is an invitation to return home to your own heart, to find joy in your own presence, to trust that solitude is not loneliness, it is freedom. Here are 6 Buddhist lessons to help you be happy, centered, and deeply at peace in your own company after 60. Listen slowly. Let your breath soften. Let this be time you give to yourself. Lesson 1. Make your inner world a peaceful place. In Buddhism, happiness is not something you chase. It's something you cultivate, quietly, gently, moment by moment. And one of the greatest gifts of being over 60 is that you finally have the emotional space and wisdom to create a peaceful inner world. Earlier in life, your mind may have been cluttered with responsibilities, raising a family, meeting expectations, working, caregiving, striving. Much of your identity may have been tied to how useful you were to others. Now, something shifts. The noise begins to fade. The world asks less from you, and your heart begins to ask more of you. This lesson begins with a simple question. Do you feel at home within yourself? If your inner world feels restless, lonely, or unsettled, it is not because anything is wrong with you. It simply means you have spent many years caring for everything except your own peace. The mind, like a garden, grows whatever you plant. For decades, life may have planted stress, worry, self-criticism, or pressure. Now you have the chance to plant something new. Buddhist teachings remind us that peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of awareness. Awareness of your breath, awareness of your emotions, awareness of what you truly need and what you no longer need to hold. Start with small moments. Sit quietly with a cup of tea. Notice the temperature of the cup in your hand. Notice the rise and fall of your breath. Notice that you are here, alive, present, worthy of this quiet moment. Solitude becomes peaceful when you stop running from your own thoughts and begin welcoming them with compassion. If sadness appears, acknowledge it softly. If regret surfaces, breathe with it instead of fighting. If joy arises, allow it to expand without questioning whether you deserve it. Your inner world becomes peaceful not by force, but by gentle attention. You do not need to fix yourself. You do not need to become someone else. you simply learn to sit with yourself the way you would sit with a dear friend, patiently, kindly, without judgment. Over time, solitude transforms. It stops feeling like emptiness. It becomes space, space to breathe, space to think, space to simply be. And in that space, happiness grows naturally. Lesson 2. Release emotional dependence and enjoy your own presence. One of the greatest obstacles to enjoying your own company is emotional dependence, the subtle belief that happiness comes from someone else's presence, approval, or attention. This dependence often forms over a lifetime, sometimes without us even noticing. When we're young, we learn to measure our worth through relationships, accomplishments, and the roles we play. But after 60, life invites us to shift from outer validation to inner stability. Buddhism teaches a powerful truth. Attachment is the root of suffering. But in this context, attachment doesn't mean love. It means relying on something outside of yourself to feel whole. If you've reached a stage where children are grown, friendships have changed, or relationships have faded, you may feel uncomfortable being alone. This discomfort is not a sign of weakness. It is simply the mind adjusting to a new way of being. To enjoy your own company, you must gently release the belief that someone else needs to be present for you to feel complete. Think of happiness as a candle inside you. For many years, life may have taught you to light your candle from others. But now, you are learning to light it from within. Begin by spending intentional time alone, not out of isolation, but out of self-respect. Take yourself on small, meaningful rituals. A morning walk, a quiet journal session, a meal you enjoy. Notice how it feels to give yourself attention, not as a last resort, but as a gift. When a painful emotion arises, loneliness, longing, or uncertainty, acknowledge it with compassion. This feeling is human. It is okay. I can sit with it. The more gently you approach your emotions, the less power they have over you. Buddhism teaches the art of befriending yourself. This means speaking kindly to yourself. It means treating your own heart with tenderness. It means allowing yourself to take up emotional space without guilt. And here is something important. You can enjoy your own company even when you still love or miss others. Solitude does not replace connection, it strengthens it. When you learn to be at ease with yourself, you bring calm instead of neediness into relationships. You give freely instead of giving from emptiness. You connect because you choose to, not because you fear being alone. Over time, you will notice a quiet shift. Your own presence will start to feel comforting. Your own thoughts will feel less threatening. Your own heart will feel like home. This is the beginning of emotional freedom. This is the beginning of inner happiness. This is the beginning of truly enjoying your own company. Lesson 3. Build a mind that stays present, even when life changes. As you move through life after 60, one of the greatest sources of unhappiness is not the present moment. It is the mind's tendency to wander into the past or worry about the future. The past pulls you into memories, nostalgia, regret, or longing. The future pulls you into fear, uncertainty, or imagined outcomes. Meanwhile, the present, the only place where peace can actually exist, quietly waits for you. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a restless bird. If left unattended, it flies in every direction except here. And yet, joy only happens here. Meaning only happens here. Life only happens here. Ask yourself gently, how often am I truly present with myself? How often am I actually here? In your younger years, presence was difficult because life pulled you in many directions: work, family, responsibilities, endless tasks. Now, with more space and time, presence becomes not only possible, but deeply rewarding. This is the phase of life where you can finally experience the freedom of simply being. But presence requires practice. Begin with your breath. Your breath is the doorway out of worry and into stillness. When your mind wanders backward, breathe. When it wanders forward, breathe. Each breath is a gentle reminder: I am here, I am alive, I am safe. You do not have to force your attention, you simply return to your body whenever you notice your mind drifting. In Buddhism, this is called anchoring. The breath is your anchor, sensation is your anchor, awareness is your anchor. The more you practice returning to yourself, the calmer your inner world becomes. Presence also means refusing to argue with reality. When you resist the natural changes that come with age, changes in energy, mobility, appearance, or routine, your mind becomes tangled in suffering. Buddhism teaches that pain is part of life, but suffering is optional. Suffering arises when the mind insists that life should be different than it is. Presence is the art of meeting reality with open hands instead of clenched fists. It is saying, "This is the moment I have. I will meet it with calm." And in that acceptance, something beautiful happens. You begin to notice the small joys that were previously hidden behind worry and distraction. The warmth of morning sunlight, the feeling of soft clothing on your skin, the quiet sound of your breath, the peaceful weight of your own presence. Buddhism calls this ordinary magic, the ability to find wonder in simple moments. Younger years chase excitement. Older years discover meaning. Presence also helps heal emotional wounds. When you stay here, right here, regret loses its grip because regret lives in the past. Fear loses its power because fear lives in the future. Only in the present does peace exist. You might wonder, what if being present brings up discomfort? That is okay. Presence is not about eliminating emotion, it's about meeting it honestly. When sadness arises, sit with it the way you would sit beside a tired child. When loneliness whispers, breathe with it rather than pushing it away. When joy arrives, let it expand fully without questioning whether it will last. Presence teaches you emotional courage, the ability to stay with whatever arises without abandoning yourself. As you practice living this way, you will begin to savor your own company. Solitude becomes a sanctuary. Your mind becomes a friend instead of an adversary. You move through your day with more softness, more clarity, more grounding. This is the heart of Buddhist joy, not pleasure, not distraction, but presence. A mind that stays where life is happening. A mind that learns to enjoy the quiet miracle of the moment. Lesson 4. Accept impermanence. the key to inner freedom after 60. Buddhism teaches one truth that shapes everything. All things are impermanent. Your body changes, your roles evolve, relationships shift, seasons pass, and identities dissolve. Nothing stays exactly as it was. Not your face, not your routines, not your abilities, not your circumstances. Impermanence is not a flaw in life, it is the design of life. But impermanence can be a difficult teacher, especially after 60. You may feel the absence of people who once filled your days. You may notice your body asking for slower rhythms. You may feel the weight of memories that once seemed far away. You may look in the mirror and feel a disconnect between the age you feel on the inside and the age reflected back at you. But Buddhism offers a liberating truth. You are not what changes. You are the awareness that witnesses the change. Everything you see, feel, and experience is like a wave, rising, peaking, dissolving, but the ocean beneath the waves remains steady. Your awareness, your inner self, is that ocean. It has always been here. It will always be here. The body, the roles, the relationships, the seasons, all of them shift, but you remain the witness. When you stop fighting impermanence, you begin to understand life with a kind of tenderness. You stop clinging to what was. You stop grieving over every change. You stop measuring your worth by what you used to do or how you used to look. Instead, you begin asking softer questions. How can I honor who I am now? How can I meet this moment with grace? What beauty exists in this stage of life that didn't exist before? Impermanence is not a thief. It is a sculptor. It removes what no longer serves you. It shapes your priorities. It clarifies what truly matters. In earlier decades, you may have been defined by productivity, ambition, or caretaking. Now, life invites you to be defined by presence, wisdom, and authenticity. You no longer have to prove yourself. You no longer have to hold everything together. You no longer have to rush. Impermanence frees you. Think of nature. No tree mourns the loss of its leaves in autumn. No flower regrets the petals it has shed. No ocean grieves its changing tides. All of nature moves with change, not against it. You too are part of nature. When you resist change, suffering grows. When you accept change, peace grows. Buddhism teaches that acceptance is not passive. It is powerful. It is the choice to stop arguing with reality. It is the choice to let life flow without trying to control what cannot be controlled. Start with small moments of acceptance. When your body asks for rest, listen. When friendships fade, bless them and release them. When routines shift, allow yourself to adapt instead of holding tightly to the past. When sadness arises, let it pass like a storm without believing it defines you. Acceptance does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop expecting permanence from things that were never meant to last forever. The peaceful truth is this: when you accept impermanence, gratitude naturally grows. You begin to appreciate moments because you understand they are precious. You begin to appreciate people because you understand they are temporary companions. you begin to appreciate yourself because you understand that life is fragile and miraculous. Impermanence is not here to take things from you. It is here to guide you toward freedom. Freedom from expectation, freedom from regret, freedom from the belief that life should stay the same. When you embrace change, you embrace life. And after 60, this acceptance becomes the doorway to a deeper, quieter, more lasting happiness. Lesson 5. Find joy in simplicity and make your own presence a source of contentment. As you enter the later chapters of your life, one of the most powerful Buddhist lessons you can embrace is this: happiness is found in simplicity, not stimulation. The modern world teaches us that joy must be loud, exciting, or impressive, but Buddhism teaches something very different. Joy is already here, woven quietly into the smallest moments of your day. You don't have to chase it, you only have to notice it. After 60, your relationship with joy naturally begins to shift. You may no longer desire the intensity or busyness that once energized you. Instead, you may feel drawn to calm mornings, slower rhythms, familiar comforts, gentle rituals. This is not a sign of decline, it is a sign of awakening. True joy does not demand energy, it only requires awareness. Think of the simple moments in your day, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the quiet sound of a kettle rising to a boil, the soft comfort of a chair that holds your weight, the way your breath settles when you allow yourself to pause. These moments are not small, they are microscopic miracles. When you pay attention to them, your own company becomes richer, more comforting, more meaningful. You begin to realize that solitude is not empty, it is full of life happening subtly around you. But many people never learn to enjoy this simplicity because they spend their life measuring happiness by external events. Productivity, companionship, validation, busy schedules, and constant motion. When those fall away, they feel lost, not because anything is missing, but because they never learned the art of presence. Buddhism teaches sukha, a deep form of joy that does not depend on circumstance. It is the joy that arises when the mind is relaxed, when the heart is open, and when you stop comparing your life to expectations or past chapters. To cultivate sukha, begin by removing the pressure to make your life exciting. You don't need grand adventures to feel alive. You don't need a calendar full of commitments. You don't need constant social interaction. What you truly need is permission. Permission to enjoy the gentle rhythm of your own life. Let yourself appreciate the quiet. Let yourself savor the slowness. Let yourself find peace in a day that asks nothing of you but your presence. You can deepen this joy by creating small rituals. Rituals become anchors, moments you look forward to, moments that help you enjoy your own company. A daily walk, a cup of tea prepared the same way each morning, a few minutes of mindful breathing, a soft blanket you wrap around yourself before reading, a journal where you write one thing you appreciated each day. These rituals are not trivial. They are acts of self-companionship. They send a message to your heart. I enjoy being with you. I value this time. I choose peace. One of the biggest barriers to enjoying your own company is comparison. Comparing your present life to past versions of yourself, or comparing your life to others. Comparison steals joy by convincing you that what you have is not enough. But Buddhism teaches that the mind becomes peaceful when it stops longing for different conditions. Ask yourself, what if this moment is already enough? What if nothing more is needed to feel content? What if the life you are living right now deserves your full appreciation? When you practice simplicity, you begin to realize something surprising and beautiful. You don't need more, you need less. Less noise, less expectation, less pressure, less self-judgment. What remains is a life that feels spacious, gentle, and deeply nourishing. And slowly, you discover that your own presence is not something to escape, it is something to cherish. You become comfortable in your own thoughts, you enjoy your own silence. You feel grateful for the peace that comes from not needing anything external to feel whole. In this way, simplicity becomes the doorway to happiness, and happiness becomes the doorway to enjoying your own company. This is the quiet joy that deepens with age, the joy that stays steady even when life changes, the joy that comes from within. Lesson 6. Accept impermanence and let your life become light again. As you move through life beyond 60, one truth becomes clearer than ever before. Everything changes. And while impermanence can feel frightening when you are younger, Buddhism teaches that with age, it becomes one of your greatest sources of peace. Impermanence doesn't mean loss. It means flow. It means that nothing in your life is frozen and nothing about you is stuck. Your emotions move, your thoughts move, your circumstances move. Even your challenges, your loneliness, your regrets, none of them remain solid forever. Many people fear aging because they believe the best parts of life are behind them. But this fear only arises when you hold tightly to the idea that life must look a certain way to be meaningful. When you stop clinging, you discover something extraordinary. You are still becoming, not declining, becoming. Impermanence is not life slipping away from you. Impermanence is life continuing to shape you, soften you, reveal you. When you embrace impermanence fully, the heavy things you've been carrying begin to loosen. You realize you don't need to grip so tightly to your past roles, past identities, past mistakes, or past expectations. You don't need to hold on to people who have drifted away. You don't even need to hold on to younger versions of yourself. They were true once, but you are not meant to stay the same. Think of a tree. Every year it lets go of its leaves, not because it is dying, but because it is preparing for new growth. Letting go is an act of wisdom, and so it is with you. You may notice that as you grow older, certain things feel heavier than they once did. Grief, disappointment, old memories that resurface, relationships that changed without your permission, dreams that no longer fit your life as it is. But here is the lesson Buddhism offers you. The weight is not in the experience, it is in the resistance. When you stop resisting, the heaviness dissolves. Your heart becomes lighter. Your mind becomes spacious again. You make peace with what was and open your arms to what is. Ask yourself gently, what am I still holding on to that no longer needs to be carried? Which memories am I gripping that only cause me pain? Which expectations of myself have become too tight, too unforgiving, too outdated? Letting go is not forgetting. It is not dismissing your experiences. It is acknowledging that every chapter served its purpose and trusting that the next chapter will too, even if it looks different from what you imagined. Impermanence also teaches you to savor the present moment with more tenderness, because when you understand that nothing lasts forever, everything becomes more precious. A quiet cup of tea becomes meaningful. A walk in the morning light becomes sacred. A small conversation with someone you love becomes a memory you hold in your heart. Even solitude becomes something to appreciate rather than escape. When you stop longing for life to return to how it once was, you free yourself to live the life you have now, fully, gently, peacefully. Impermanence is the great equalizer. It humbles the proud, comforts the grieving, softens the stubborn, and frees the imprisoned heart. It reminds you that no feeling lasts forever. Not sadness, not fear, not regret. It teaches you that every season of your life has its own wisdom. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this lesson is this: impermanence gives you back your future. It tells you that it is never too late to change, to heal, to begin again. You are not trapped in any story. You are not defined by any past. You are not fixed in your identity. You are fluid, responsive, growing, evolving. Right now, at this very moment, you can choose a new direction. You can choose joy. You can choose peace. You can choose to release whatever has weighed you down for years. You can choose to open your heart to life again. You are not at the end. You are simply entering a new season. One with more clarity, more self-compassion, more freedom than the seasons before. Let impermanence soften you. Let it free you. Let it remind you that life is still unfolding, and so are you. Thank you for spending this time with me. If these Buddhist lessons brought you peace, clarity, or comfort, I invite you to join our community here on Mindfulness. Subscribe for more gentle guidance, spiritual wisdom, and reflective teachings to support your journey. Your presence here truly matters. May you be happy, may you feel light, and may your path continue to unfold with grace.